So Australia having lost a wicket, a run out, always a wicket that you consider a waste. Marsh and Boone together, and together in the commentary box Richie Beno, and with him Rodney Marsh.
Thanks, Tony. Morning, everyone. This pitch is hard enough for the pace bowlers to get plenty of bounce out of it. We've already seen Patterson get some lift, even though that was quite short. Marshall also has got the ball up fairly steeply. No ball called. I heard Tony Cozier saying Malcolm Marshall seemed a little out of sorts this morning. So he does. He doesn't quite seem to have his rhythm right.
One of the great fast bowlers around today. Generates a lot of pace with his run-up, from his run-up, and his very quick arm action.
Not an easy session, the first one, at any time, but the back of the Australians' minds would be that they can just get through this session, preferably without losing a wicket, which hasn't happened. They've lost Mark Taylor. Losing the absolute minimum, then there are plenty of runs to be made out there.
It's always a joy to play at this ground. The wicket, generally speaking, over the last decade or so has been excellent. And I guess going back in time, certainly before my time, it's always been regarded as somewhat of a batsman's paradise. However, if you're a great bowler, as this man Marshall is, there's still enough in it to give you some hope. I know Dennis Lilly always enjoyed bowling here, always got the ball to swing a little bit, always got enough bounce for the edges to carry to slips. And I think he always treated it as a real challenge.
That's 1 for 18.
And it's going to be Malcolm Marshall who's going to continue the attack for the Australians. For the West Indians, Marshall opened the bowling. He bowled 4 overs and conceded 10 runs, so he really hasn't had much of a bowl. Patterson had 6 overs, Ambrose bowled 9, and Walsh 5. Well,
I reckon he could have bowled an over by now. Not often we come back from a break and have to wait for 2 or 3 minutes.
Yes, they don't try and help themselves much, the West Indies. They are going to be punished quite severely in terms of fines by the time the season's over. There won't be much left in their kitty because of the fines that will be imposed to them for the slow overs. Sydney would have helped a bit.
What happens to all that money?
Well, as I understand it, it certainly doesn't go to the players. But I think there is actually a maximum. I'm not too sure that they're allowed, or they can be asked to pay in. I wonder what happens to a side that has no bonus. That's the more interesting one.
Marshall certainly looks a little bit out of sorts. This is only his 5th over and he hasn't generated that much pace. And we were just discussing at lunchtime as to whether or not perhaps Malcolm can see the end.
It's off the pad and then onto the bat.
It's almost as though, well, I get the feeling that perhaps retirement is just around the corner and he's just winding down a little bit.
Yes, he's clearly slowed his pace down. He's off a slightly shorter run now. Trying to concentrate a bit more on swinging the ball. Oh, he's got that one away. And no point in running at all. It was a quick bouncer and Dean Jones played a beautiful pull shot.
Very good shot from Dean Jones. He's hit that superbly. Very good wicket, as I indicated earlier on, and you can afford to play shots like that when you know a bowler digs the ball in and you know what height it's going to get up. It makes the pull shot and the cut shot so much easier.
Bad misfield there, but they won't get an extra run. That is the end of the over. 3 for 95. So 1 short of 100 now, Australia, having won the toss. Dean Jones and Border out there together. This little Gus Logie is in position at forward short leg. I had a chat to him last night about his nose, and he's got a few nasty scars across the top of his nose, the bridge of his nose there, where they had to stitch him up. He was telling me that he was of the opinion that the ball was hit so hard at him that there's no crash helmet that's ever been made that would have protected him from the injury incurred. He eventually had to have an operation.
Interesting delivery from Malcolm Marshall, not bouncing a heck of a lot. That's gone through on the second bounce to Jeffrey Dujon, and it's only about half stump high. And I think as this game goes along, you'll find that the ball will get lower and lower.
This Malcolm Marshall doesn't look to be all that happy with the way things are going. He's not his normal bouncy self. very quick fire sort of approach when he comes charging in, but doesn't look to me as if he's really trying to generate too much pace there. He's working very hard on the ball, trying to get a bit of swing.
A little bit of bounce in the wicket before lunch, and that's the way it should be. There should be enough in the pitch to encourage the fast bowlers. But with this sun having been out all morning, the wicket will have dried out. Not that it was wet at all, but dried out even more, and the bounce become more placid.
Very interesting to see Marshall scratching away at the ball there. That's probably trying to rough up one side a little bit more so that it will swing. The theory being that if you have one side that's really shiny and the other side really rough, then you have a chance. Keep an eye on him, see what he's up to. So there's quite a glow on one side. He's holding that for an in-swinger. So that brings up the 100, and Australia have lost 3 wickets. 3 for 108. Jones, the dominating partner there.
Yes, AB hasn't had much of the strike since lunch. There's been 5 overs bowled, and he's only faced 8 deliveries. Very much the running partner at this stage.
Alan Border is a very experienced test player. He's 33 years of age now. But have a look at those test matches. 102 of them, 178 test knocks. And he's scored plenty of runs.
A fantastic performance over all those test matches, averaging over 50 in all tests and slightly lower against the West Indies, which is quite understandable.
Got that one away and into the fence it'll go as well. But also be all that comfortable with that little gutter and those sharp-ended pickets. Very good shot this by Dean Jones.
Yes, you've got to be able to cut and pull if you're a quality high order player, and it really helps on this ground because, as we've so often said, the boundaries are quite short, square of the wicket.
Missed out in the first 2 test matches, but played in Melbourne and Sydney, and is going pretty well here in Adelaide.
Although he's yet to get a first-class 50 for the summer, which is quite amazing.
Dean Jones hasn't had the same test match experience as Alan Border. He's a little younger than him as well, 27. But not a bad batting average, just over 40 there. In all cricket, 3 centuries altogether and 5 50s.
Yeah, it's not a bad average considering what he's done the last couple of seasons. Basically, he didn't get a run in Pakistan, and against New Zealand last summer failed as well, so it's not a bad effort, that. against the West Indies, averaging 28.42. And his highest score, just 48. That was back in 1983-84. Port of Spain, Trinidad.
Three for 112.
Lovely sunny day here in Adelaide. Perhaps the temperature not quite as warm as was predicted. The Mount Lofty ranges there are very prominent in the background. And a good seeing day for the batsman. A pitch which certainly has frustrated Malcolm Marshall, who continues here. Cut his run down as early as his third over of the morning. And he'll now come into Alan Border.
With Alan Border on strike, 2 slips in a gully. With Richards at first slip. And then Richie Richardson, who took a great catch at second slip to get rid of David Boone, is there for the left-hander. In the gully, Desmond Haynes. The other attacking fielder is Gus Logie at bat pad.
So he's been in for 3/4 of an hour for those 4 runs. Just faced 24 deliveries. Dean Jones has had the majority of the strike. But in terms of time, his half-century in the Sydney Test match to get there, he took 310 minutes to reach his 50. Trevor Bailey and Chris Tavares, the only ones slower than him to reach a Test 50. Jones has now had 49 deliveries, so that he's had quite a bit more than Border.
I'm just thinking to myself now, in 58-59, when Trevor Bailey produced that slowest half-century, 357 minutes, Richie Benaud was playing in the game. If Alan Border were to reach something like that figure in this game, Richie Benaud could be scoring the 50 for Alan Border. I should another no ball there from Malcolm Marshall. I should let you into the secret that Richie Benaud is presently picking up the pen and doing the scoring for Channel 9. Wendy Wimbush has got a migraine headache, so Rich is doing a fine job keeping a tally of balls faced and minutes out there for Alan Border. So that would be a nice double for Richie.
Well, the first thing he did when he came in was to correct all the errors that you had made during your half an hour, having taken over from Wendy earlier. And under the new system, I'm sure both yourself and Richie would be struggling a bit. It's not this old scorebook system which Wendy uses.
There's only one problem: if Alan does beat that record, Richie will still be scoring tomorrow. And I might add, Tony, I only had to use the Tip-X once. Don't exaggerate. Pretty good bouncer from Malcolm Marshall. Right on line. So if the stats are a little slow in coming through today on the Wide World of Sports commentary, I hope you'll bear with us, because we have some very junior statisticians sitting in the chair throughout the afternoon. One thing as a scorer, come statistician, you don't have to be too quick with is the West Indies over rate at the moment. They're going to be way behind when the 90 overs, or as far as the 90 overs rule is concerned, if they keep up their present rate.
And another one. So the West Indies fast bowlers again just overstepping that front crease today. Not by much, but just by enough that umpire Rick Evans, and you can see there exactly how close it is to the front crease, and it really is extremely frustrating for a fast bowler, for any bowler, that he runs up and he's just a millimetre over and that's it. Umpire calls 17 times today.
Maybe the stats will be a little slow in coming, but they'll still be correct.
Over. So that's the end of the over. It's 3 for 116.